like this. I think this will work. I don't know. It's really hard to hold. Sorry about the hand. Okay, so another vlog. I'm trying to figure out how to do these car vlogs a little bit better, also a little bit safer, so that maybe I could use two hands on the wheel instead of being a half safe driver. I could be a whole safe driver. So I'll need to figure that out. Maybe I can find like a mount for my window or something. We'll see. So that would be better. Anyway, so today, catching up. I've actually been producing a lot of content in the last couple of days, and I feel like I'm getting ahead of things, and I'm really starting to become overwhelmed with the whole organization piece, because what I've been doing with these vlogs, which I think is fine, because I don't need them for any remarkable quality or anything. Like sometimes it'll be probably good to go back and reference, or if I need to play something, it's fine. I could re-download the videos from YouTube or whatever, right? But what I think is so this whole thing came up because if I'm going to be doing like one post ahead of time, and eventually I'd like to be doing things a little bit more than just one post ahead of time. That way I can kind of build up some content, so that if something happens like last week when I was just out of commission, that it's okay, that it's not going to be a big deal. I've got a new beat. It's coming out. I should have that video up tonight, so that's going to be awesome. If you guys want to check it out, I think it's pretty rad, and I think it's a kind of an interesting new style for me. I haven't really done anything in this style, so it'll be cool. Once that video is up, I did figure out a new kind of. I did some tweaking on the math for my visualization tool in Blender. And so I think the like visualization bars look a little bit cleaner than the last video, which the first beat I put up, I don't even think I'm going to leave that up once I have 3 or 4 or 5 beats up, because I don't like that beat. I mean, I think it's okay. I don't know. I think I might just leave it up as something that might be something, and then I'm going to go through and find. So I mean, I have beats, and specifically beats that I've produced for a very, very long time. And this is something, so on the reference topic, not even the reference topic, but this is kind of related to the reference topic, is finding the purpose to whatever it is that you're doing. So for a very, very long time, it's a long time in my memory. I think it's probably about, what year is it? 2016. So yeah, for about 10 years, I've been producing music in different platforms. And I've been on probably 6 different computers, and I've used different hard drives, and I've done different files transfers, and I've lost certain files, and I've gained certain files, and I've switched softwares. I'm using Ableton for about the last probably 7 or 8 years maybe. And I really am at the point now where I feel like I have a good idea of how I want these productions to be released. The thing is, it's completely evolutionary, so I can't say that I know how it's going to be. I just know how I'm doing it right now, and then we'll kind of figure out where it goes from there. So the big piece is, I know I have a lot of really good material. I know I have a lot of really good things. Now, they could definitely use some refinement, but because my goal for the longest time was to be an artist, right? Not to say that producers aren't artists, in the kind of, I don't know. Producers are artists, but to be an artist up front, you need, to be the vocalist, you need to have lyrical ideas, and there's been very, very few times in my past where I've been able to kind of put those things together. And they've been at really pivotal moments. So like, I know when I was switching degrees, I wrote a song about stuff. When I was really starting to get involved with metaphysics, I started writing a song about that, and I finished that. When when it was my first anniversary with my wife, I was able to finish the song about her. It's things like that really pivotal, important things in my life, I've been able to write songs about and complete them. But it's never come together in like a larger scale picture project. So I have a lot of material. I have a lot of beats and whole songs and just samples of songs and different compositions and different things. And I feel like that, coupled with my brand new need, and so to be organized with my sound library as well. So Il Gates is absolutely one of my favorite production teachers of all time. I owe a lot of my methodology to him. Now, since learning his method, I've also done a lot from Mr. Bill and a lot of other just random producers on YouTube, and hundreds of hours of just video that I've absorbed into my face. And also working with people personally and finding out what techniques work for them, kind of adjusting techniques from other softwares to be applied inside of Ableton. So I really, but a lot of the basis of the fundamentals of what I was teaching when I was teaching, and a lot of the stuff I use now is based off of the 80-20 principle, or the Pareto efficiency, which is something that Il Gates talks about. It's also something that Tim Ferriss talks a lot about. And it's also something that, the Pareto efficiency, anytime you talk about economics or you're doing any kind of business or organization or anything, it's important to talk about the Pareto efficiency and how you can eliminate a lot of the hassle that doesn't yield a lot of the results, is basically what it is. And to be able to focus on the important part that's yielding the majority of the results, which I think is, you can talk about eliminating the negative and that's fine, but what do you focus on? Where do you spend your time, and how do you organize? So to produce new music, you need to be able to organize stuff. So you need to have sessions that are kind of longer, where you can organize the important pieces of what you're going to need to produce. That way when you sit down to produce, it takes much shorter time, right? Things like that. So I have preached that a lot, and in certain cases and in certain genres. So when I was producing a lot of bass music quite a few years ago, I kind of organized my drum kits and selectors for that. Then when I was producing a lot of more electro, I kind of organized some drum kits and organized some sounds for that. And the thing is, in both of those categories, I was doing a lot of the sound design and synthesis from scratch. One of the things that Il Gates says is that when you're doing kind of a writing session, usually you don't want to dive into a synthesizer. But that was a lot of part of my writing, was kind of creating this character and quality of the synthesizer. But what I found recently is that when the synthesizer isn't the focus, and the focus is going to be the vocal of a track, that all the elements need to stand alone, but they need to be voiced in such a way where they kind of blend, and starting with a much more vast, I would always usually start with a sine wave and like the default presets, or I would create my own default presets that would be just a sine wave on off, and then I would do envelopes and everything from there. So, and this was in, operator, analog, massive, those are my main synths, and then, some modelers and other things. But now what I want to do is have a really organized library of presets. Excuse me. Presets that aren't just, a collection of as many different plugins and the weirdest, crazy default sounds from everything you can find. One thing that this is kind of a side note, one thing that I was upset about when it first happened, but then I was okay because I still had it, was when Live 9 came out. They did away with the old Live 8 library, which is fine because the Live 8 library didn't sound as polished and professional, and when you're browsing around on Push, having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different things, different presets just didn't work out, and the way that the presets were laid out was kind of unorganized because you never knew what you were getting. But I really liked that for my production, and since I don't use Push, I had Push for a while, and it was fun, but what I ended up finding out is that it just doesn't, it was like a tweaker toy. Like it just like, I would sit down and play with Push for a while, and it didn't ended up getting me anywhere. I would generate some new interesting ideas sometimes, but not really, and I would end up like spending a long time just kind of tweaking parameters and making like what would be the equivalent of crazy acid house. It wasn't necessarily acid house, but just something where you had the same drum loop going, and you would kind of cut parts in and out, and then you would tweak filters for hours. So I ended up getting rid of Push because it wasn't a good part of my workflow. Push 2 looks really cool. They made some kind of refinements and improvements that might be cool. But as a performance tool, I'm sure it's still one of the best. On the topic of organization, I really want to go through all of the Live 8 library, and I really want to go through some of the other, just all the presets and all the sounds and all the instruments I have, and kind of create a library of go-to good sounding things. And I haven't had a lot of time for organizational sessions, and I feel like I'm going to have to figure that out. I feel like I've been rushing to play catch up to get stuff out, to get stuff produced, but that if I spend 3 hours just organizing my library, then I won't have to spend 6 hours producing a track. The track can be produced in 2 or 3. So, and it becomes exponential, because if you spend 3 hours organizing your library, then the next 10 tracks only take 2 or 3 hours. Whereas if you don't organize your library, then you're going to end up spending 6 hours on each track, and it just takes forever. So that's really where I am now as far as organization. The other thing that I'm stepping up a little bit, if you notice, Rode SmartLav. Now, I did the review on the iPhone earpods, which are still great, and I'm still probably going to use them in a lot of videos. But today I was trying to get this whole phone stand in the car thing figured out. And while I was doing that, I happened to grab my SmartLav too and figure, well, might as well use this too, because I know that the quality on this is really, really good. Okay, so stay tuned for videos. More vlogs, stay tuned for more beats coming out soon, and have a great week. I hope that all of your dreams come true. I hope that you find the love of your life, you become one of the wealthiest people on the planet, and you become incredibly successful and happy. Have a great day.